NQ market recap for Wednesday, the 19th of August 2026. Start this off at the end of the day. Let's start with the daily, right? After explaining on Tuesday why I was bearish, I expected some push higher for today to push back lower, right? That's all my expectation. I'm expecting us to go higher, then go lower, or can go lower, then go higher. Regardless, the daily candle kind of has to end in this way, right? And expect it to go slightly higher to at least visit this volume imbalance. Okay, I'm gonna show you why in the lower time frame. In this 4-hour CB, right? Hitting this kind of breaker block, right? You can use it this or this, whatever, because this is a higher time frame breaker if you want to see it that way. And at the same time taking the buy side. So that's why I expected us to go higher, but I still have targets that are lower, right? In case we start trading lower, then I'd expect us to go higher. So it's just either of, right? So let's put the annotations, and there's a lot, right? So this is our buy side for AM for yesterday's on Tuesday, and that was currently our dealing range high from 7 to 9, the initial buy side liquidity. So I need to see what the market was gonna do basically at open, right? This is our first presented from Tuesday. You can see it acting all the way here. So I want to see if we can hold the first presented at open, right? Here is our 9:30 opening price right here, and we open in the upper half of it. Come back down to the low, don't close below it, then go all the way higher and then come back down below the midpoint. Once we came down below the midpoint here at 9:34, in my head I was like, okay, it doesn't seem like we want to go visit these relative equal highs, right? It just doesn't seem, and visit the 4-hour right now. We could though manipulate all the way down to a couple of places that had in price, and let's just show what the liquidity was showing. We had 1-2 sell side on what do you call it, regular trading hours. I knew this PM's low is basically 100%, like 100% guaranteed that we're gonna get to, right? But after that, are we gonna go all the way lower, or we're gonna stop somewhere around here, maybe even take previous daily low and then come back to the high? That's what I'm not sure about, right? But I know generally either directions are plausible at this point, right? So I'm just waiting for one to fail. And that one direction to fail was this. Once we close below our 9:30 opening again, below our first presented from yesterday, right? And I'm still watching it. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is a trade once it goes up here inside the lower half of the first presented from yesterday. I'm like, ah, that's cool. I'll watch this gap at midpoint and discount of this range from 7 to 9 as well. What is it gonna do? Is it gonna support price higher, or is it gonna give up the ghost and act as an inversion for a value gap and go lower? Right? That's all I'm watching, just as a double confirmation for my bias, because going against relative equal highs is not ideal. Because you can easily just get price to be like, nah, we're going up there, right? This candle comes in, one candle closes below the range, and then we come all the way near the high, right, as an immediate rebalance, and then drop down and close below the midpoint, making this act as an inversion fair value gap. Once this second candle is going up into it, that's my short, and I'm watching this gap here at the end of our opening range gap, because it could offer a retracement right there, and that would close our opening range gap. So that was my first partial, and when I seen the second candle kind of respect it, I closed the position, and I'm waiting to see, are we gonna go above the midpoint at this wick, right? That's exactly what I'm watching. First candle, okay, touches it. Second candle fails. I'm like, okay, it's tempting. Third candle goes all the way up and again fails. And right there when it was going down to this midpoint, that's why I take my second short, and I'm allowing up just slightly above the midpoint of the this inversion fair value gap. We go again, visit it, stop loss is still safe, and then we start dumping all the way down for, I guess, the first stage of distribution, right? Or second stage or whatever, right? And then we start taking all the sell side in basically one candle. That's one candle taking the PM, and then after that, I had these relative equal lows, which is this low, and remember the sell side yesterday in regular trading hours. It went and took that. And I was watching if it's gonna be done here at London sell side, but it makes sense as there's no level right there for it to go back. So I was watching this first gap. It didn't want to close above it and then start dropping lower again to make the low other day at the negative 0.15 of the opening range gap. Once it did that, I'm watching it, right? I'm watching it and I'm like, all right, cool. From this is a long that I would take. And you know, it goes all the way back above here, closes above. This is another beautiful long if once it closed above here and opened, come back to nearly the midpoint of this inversion fair value gap, and then after that, you know, just going all the way higher, technically to our first presented. I would say our first presented would be here, but I would count this kind of wick as our first presented. That's how I kind of see it, because this is where I would expect it for it to do or happen, and just this whole range between these two wicks is what I would count as like our first presented area, right? This is where it kind of should be, but yeah, that's what we do. And you know, after we go all the way up to that range, we start dumping back into the lunch macro, right? And then you just consolidate for the rest of the day. There ain't really much for this day other than you can either take the short or take the long, but you know, you had to be real patient with the long, right? You had to be real patient with the long because you could have got stopped out if you took the long here too early. Just try not to be too early because the range that it will offer you, it will be a lot regardless. So there's no reason to be too late, too early. Now let me clear all this price levels because it's a bit too much. And actually, before doing that, let me just highlight again our first presented from Tuesday's price because expected to still get used because we are still around our range for today. Balance to the high. There we go, and that's the only level that I need from these previous days. Carry it out. To reach the midpoint here, and oh, we already dumped. So we already took previous daily low again. Just want to double check with ES what have we done. Nope, we didn't take this. We did not even attempt to get close to there, and we're working our way to previous daily low. So what is today gonna do? Well, we'll keep failing to go to premium PDA rates, which seems to be bearish for now. I need to just check the daily real quick. Let's see where we're going. What have we done with this wick yesterday? We weren't able to reach the midpoint, right? Which got also retracement. But once we got higher here, we couldn't even close above this range, making this act like an inversion fair value gap. So have we hit the upper quadrant of this? No, we did not. Yes, yeah, I'm expecting us to get to this low today. At this rate, this is what I'm looking at as a target, right? I don't expect this to flip bullish for today, and then after getting to this low, then I guess I'll be looking at this imbalance right there first before even looking at the aspect of this being an inversion. I'm looking at the volume imbalance. That's really it for today. to expect us to go higher, technically we made the relative equal lows, but it will all depend, right? It will all depend on how we open range gap, whatever, right? There's stuff that you can't literally tell until like 9:30. But what I do suspect is we're going at least to this low, and then we'll see what happens at this area, right? And let me just mark out our range here from 7, and then whatever it goes to, sort it out then, and then we'll see how we behave around that range. But yeah, that's the market recap. There's not really much here to do or to look at. So just one more thing, let me check the weekly, and I want to see where we are with this weekly suspension block. So we're close to hitting the midpoint, so I will put the midpoint at the lower, see where it reacts. It's next to the volume imbalance. There's a lot of stuff around that volume imbalance, so that's what I'm looking at as a target for, I guess, this morning session. And then after that, if he wants to go higher, you can go higher. If he wants to go lower, you can go lower. I could not care less, but there will be an easy trade. So yeah, that's the market recap. Peace out.